Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable. Tonight we have Evan with us again. We have Brian back with us. We have myself, and our special guest is Mr. Deck Checker himself, Jake, up there. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
Pretty
Good.
good.
I'm 3-0 in the tournament, so I'm okay.
There you go.
You have to bring that up, huh? I tried my hardest to make it 2-1. Brian? You have a game. You're what, 1-1 with a bye, and then your game is still to be played.
Right. Should be played tomorrow. I lost to this deck that Evan beat in round 3, and then got the bye. Now I'm up against Newland's Brawn Breaker with my Samoa Joe. So two
two-
big meaty men slapping meat. Is that the phrase?
Mm-hmm.
Couple NXT superstars going at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a nice 1-2 with a count out victory, so we're sitting pretty.
You never know. It's top 16, so you never know.
Yeah. 2 more wins could get you.
I think the count out win though kind of hurts. So
That's the risk of the count out.
yeah, well, wasn't expecting to lose my next 2 when I took the first count out win. So Jake is enjoying his freedom from the raw deal.
Seeing what people have brought for this tournament, I am so glad I set this one out.
I just want to know some of your reactions as the deck list started coming in. Like,
It's just the first 2 that came in was Matrix's Brock and RV's Arn. So my first thought is, okay, yep, the tryhards are coming out big time for this one. All rough. But I mean, as they came in, I mean, there's some that's like, okay, that's a good pick. There's some it's like, I don't understand how this is going to work, but I'm going to trust the player. And then there's people like Debu, where you sit there and you look at that list and you're like, I'm in so much awe and shock of it. Like the madness and the science behind it. Like it shouldn't make sense. But yet in his hands, it makes sense.
I haven't seen it in action yet. I'm hoping I can catch one of his games and see what it actually does.
It is low key. Like I don't know if it's going to go 5-0, but it is low key. Like very sneaky good. Like you see some of these decks, you come in. It's like, all right, this possible matchup here. Like the first round was Debu and Canner. It's like, okay, Plants Champ versus David Otunga. This is a match I want to see. I don't know if anyone's ever said that about a David Otunga match before, but here we were.
I think I caught the very end of that game.
Yeah, it didn't go very well in Canner's favor, but like I said, just some of these potential matchups still yet to come. It's going to be an interesting top 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then some people show up with the Bella twins. It just happens.
I mean, some people show up with the Bellas, some people show up with gender, and well, it don't hinder gender.
It all evens out in the end.
He hasn't been hindered in a while.
I was the last person on record to hinder gender.
Yep.
That was a while ago.
9 months? Something like that?
Probably, yeah.
World's round 3 or whatever.
I mean, you look at the 2 pilots playing the gender decks in the big events, though, and it's not
Also
surprising
true.
that they're crushing people with it.
Good players playing good superstars. It typically works out in their favor.
Yeah. I as someone who checks decks for Worlds, I kind of agree with what Jake is saying, because sometimes you get these lists of like, oh, okay. You expect all the tryhards and Worlds, so I don't even bat an eyelash. But Sometimes you see someone do something and you're like, I don't know if that's going to work out for you, but okay, it's legal. Good luck. But and then there's some that you just like, oh, I'm so happy I'm not there.
It is nice to see some people represented, though, in this tournament that's not usually in one, like Rayu's Total Package. We don't usually see an Arn, or at least the last couple we haven't seen an Arn. Andre's always a strong choice, but you don't always see it. Bella's obviously is, not anyone's radar. And Brian, I told you this before. I'm glad I'm not facing your Samoa Joe to take this tournament.
It didn't help me first round, but it's not bad. We'll see how it plays out over 5. 4.
It's very creative, and I think that's the one thing I appreciate the most about looking at these. It's like, all right, what's out of the box? Let's see all the weird stuff. Like, what's his name? Ron Teenth. He's playing 6. Ask yourselves how many are there. It's like, who even remember this card existed?
Shout out to that man.
I do realize, I when I talk to Brian about decks, about every time he sends me a list, his little disclaimer is, this is kind of a meme.
Slightly. Oh, ask yourself how many are there in Crime Time. That's great.
Well, I think my deck was probably a pretty easy one to check.
It was very easy. I mean, we had to go back and forth a little bit on one card, but it's just a matter of like, oh yeah, that was a rule that no one's going to remember unless it comes up.
And then I think I updated it twice, but I made it very clear what I took out and what I added in.
Yes, thank you for that. Compared to some people who send a new list, it's like, all right, what'd you change, pal?
I figured so choosing Andre, the last 2 times I've seen Andre played were in roulette wheel games. The first Raw Deal roulette wheel, I had Andre, and then this past one, I think Jay-Z had Andre.
Yeah.
And Andre lost in both of them. And I thought, I wonder how good Andre is when the opponent can't game plan for Andre.
Yeah, if you can't stack them, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
If I had 20 more cards, I had you though, Hog.
I'll tell you. You got me down to like 14 or something like that.
I ran out of moves to throw.
Yeah, I think I reversed maybe one of your moves the whole game.
So, Jake, one thing we like to do is go over some of your history and background of what got you into Raw Deal, what you've been doing in Raw Deal, and just kind of like your thoughts on virtual and getting into virtual.
Virtual sucks. I hate it. Yeah. So my journey into Raw Deal was kind of a weird one. Not gonna lie. Like when I got into it, I had just moved to Indianapolis, and Yu-Gi-Oh started to be the hot trendy game. So I went to Toys R Us, was picking up a couple packs, and the cashiers there was like, "Hey, my little brother plays Yu-Gi-Oh. You want to come to this comic shop on Sunday and play with him so he has someone to play with?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." I get there, play with his little brother while they're playing Raw Deal. It's like, what is this? I like wrestling. I like cards. So that was my gateway drug right then. And it was a really crucial time. Like I said, I just moved to Indianapolis. I didn't know anyone. My senior year of high school, it's like, all right, cool, people. I like them. And from there, just played from Mania all the way till the end of the game. Being in Indianapolis, had access to Gen Con every year, so had a lot of experience playing those tournaments, including when they moved to Worlds being at Gen Con after the game died. So ended up getting to finals in Worlds 2010. Obviously didn't win, but, pretty decent for I think that turnout that year was about 15, 16 people. So ended up being Scott Mackey in the semis to get to the finals. So that was something.
Nice.
Then sold all my cards when I moved out to New Hampshire and got back into the pandemic with this card dealer down here in the bottom corner. Hey, George. And here I am. You guys can't get rid of me.
As much as you try to get rid of yourself too, you always keep coming back.
It's you and I message each other like, I hate this game. Like, all right, what happened this time?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, but
Hello.
no, I mean, go ahead.
Hello, George.
Hello, sorry I'm late.
You beat Canner here, so there's that.
I'm always going to beat Canner. He's notoriously late. He doesn't believe in the term under promise, over deliver.
Yeah. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sure some of y'all have been playing for a while since the teens and all that. But I can tell you right now, I have been having some of the most fun playing some of these decks, especially when we got back into Classic and now into Virtual. Like, there's so many fun things to play with.
I think part of it for me is like what makes it more fun now is like where I am in life compared to where I was, growing up and playing, and now it's just kind of a release instead of something, you did to be competitive.
Right.
It's with Octagon, it's free now.
It makes it even better.
Absolutely.
Because I have less money now than I did when I was younger. So
not only is it free, but you can play someone in Singapore at any given time. You're not just it's not just your group of people you're playing against. It's everyone.
Because it's always fun to play against one of those guys from Singapore. It's always a good time.
Always a blast.
And if you want to play 5 different iterations of a superstar, you can without having to swap cards out, which I don't know. Sleeving and unsleeving, it's just not my thing.
I don't need to watch Crasher shuffle and destroy 45 sleeves during one game.
Dragon shields, mind you.
Is he one of those shufflers?
Oh yeah, he's the ultimate one of those shufflers.
Oh boy.
He claimed he would get kicked out of Dragon Shield QA for being too rough on the product.
Oh boy.
So Jake, you think we're gonna see you again in another tournament coming up here after this one?
Well, obviously, life for me is about to get a little busier, so Worlds is not going to be in the picture. Like the babies do.
Oh yeah, I
like,
forgot about that.
Middle of March. So
Congratulations.
But when
you're not going to be the deck
Thank you.
checker, right? You're not going to be the deck checker. We need Brian to do that. Brian needs
No,
to
we need Brian to play.
be the deck checker so he can't enter, right? We're going to do that.
I think I can make enough time to check about 30 or so decks. So, Brian.
All right. There we go.
Nope.
He probably won't have me spin a wheel to tell him what deck to play this tournament.
Oh no, not this time.
I think if we start back up League, I definitely think I'll have enough time to get those matchups in.
We got to do that.
I got to represent Heat Slater sometime.
We got to do the World Cup event again.
All right. I think I was out from that one.
Yeah, I won, so I was happy about that one.
Is that different than Davies tournament?
Davey does league, and then we had the 3-person team tournament or whatever we did as well last year.
Oh, right.
That's the league is fun too because you get smattering of your different superstars. It's a little bit more casual played schedule too.
You get that huge draft with like 45 people in the voice chat. That's always fun. It's so chaotic.
Yeah.
3 different time zones.
We need to get.
What is wrong with chaos?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, George.
Oh, my comment is useless, but I was gonna say I wish there'd be a way that we can incorporate some sort of Royal Rumble. It'd be great if we could do that, and that'd be probably a near impossible thing with all the time zones. But someone gets knocked out, the other one comes in and plays a game. That would be great.
Yeah. That'd be
Be
pretty
like
wild.
over 3 weeks or something if we did that.
Yeah,
Because again, like you said, the time zones. But I mean, we've done our Crasher and I have done fantasy football drafts that last 3 weeks. So I don't think it's impossible, but it's definitely a logistical nightmare.
yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have to volunteer Bob for that one. Bob will have to figure out the details.
That's what
Bob,
happens when Bob's not here.
He's always up for a challenge.
So George, we already went over our BWO so far. How are you doing?
I'm probably the worst 3-0 that could be out there right now. It's actually quite comical, unbelievable. I don't even know, it shouldn't be the case, but round one was the Jay-Z drop, and that's, I mean, I won't get into that. He shouldn't have dropped, but that's fine. Round two, I was getting hammered by Beast Incarnate. Was ready to lose the game. He lost internet and mid-game.
Uh-huh.
So we just agreed to start the game over again. Completely different game.
Wow.
So
That sucks.
yeah. And then round three was the only legit game. But if I was to recount it, I should be 1-2 right now, not 3-0. So it's going good until next week. I mean, what are my choices? Andre the Giant, Jinder,
David Otunga?
Debu.
It's going to be Otunga, and then Davey. Is Davey 3-0?
Lost to Hog.
Davies 2-1, I think.
Okay.
Still not a deck I want to play against, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I didn't have a 100-card arsenal, I would have lost that game.
Yeah. So, I mean, my fate is coming up. And then at the end of the day, I've said none of it matters because round one, Jagger will call me out for all the trash I've talked, and then I'm going to get knocked out. So it doesn't matter.
Oh, won't that be great?
I mean, you don't talk this game and you don't talk like that to him and not expect that. I expect every bit of it. And if he doesn't do it, I would be shocked.
If he doesn't do it, Free Dude will.
Ooh.
Free Dude won't call me out.
George should call Free Dude out.
Yeah, I'll call Free Dude out. Free Dude's not. But he's been a joy, actually, the last few weeks on Discord. I enjoy conversing back and forth with him.
He's a good kid.
Legitimately a kid.
Yeah.
Oh. So yeah, BWO is going okay. I mean, it's I like the deck. It's fun. It's different. I mean, maybe not different, but it's dynamic. It can do a lot of different things. Yeah, so we'll see how far that gets me. There is a very blatant hole to it. Someone will exploit it, and then I'll pay the price. But that's secrets for you guys to find out, not.
Good choice of words there. Pay the price.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. Brian, are you undefeated?
No, I'm 1-1. I lost to Davey in round one and got the bye in round two.
Okay.
My round three match is tomorrow against Braun Breaker.
Getting Davey in round one of any tournament is always going to be tough, no matter who he's using. He's one of those good players.
Yeah,
Just
creative too. God, I remember playtesting Victoria with him. Holy crap! It's like a tournament game.
being on the 3-man team with Davey last year and just conversing, me, him, and Badman. Davey's a mad scientist. You could tell he's got a lot of time on third shift to think of stuff because he's just spitting out ideas, and I'm like, how are you even coming up with this?
Yeah.
Is Badman undefeated with Priceless?
Oh, maybe.
He might be.
think he is.
Good for him.
I know Eugenius is 2-1 with Bruno Sammartino, and his only loss was the countout against me, which if I didn't have Mania, I probably would have lost to him.
All right, because you played back-to-back games with
Yeah,
80
with
plus Arsenals.
100 card Arsenals, and like,
Yeah, I forgot about Bruno. Bruno's another good one. Badman's done very well in BWO tournaments. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but he's quietly made it into top cut multiple times.
yeah,
And Priceless is a pretty good superstar too.
first was good.
Especially now with Crown Jewel running rampant, they get that bonus in their ability.
Yep. Yes, I learned that one. How did I learn that? I learned that one the hard way. I can't remember what I got hit with, but I learned that one the hard way.
So speaking of events, Brian, how has the Richmond events been going?
Oh, they've been great. So I'll do two because I wasn't here last time. September, we had a Saturday night's main event theme tournament. It wasn't just strictly WWF guys. There was a list of everybody who was kind of made sense in that era. We had 8 participants. The superstars were Natural Disasters, Jim Cornette, Shawn Michaels, Iron Sheik, Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man Randy Savage, Total Package, and Jerry the King Lawler. I won the event with Natural Disasters, Back to Basics Natural Disasters, which is just hysterical. But yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Was it up to what, V11? Is that how far you guys were?
Yeah, V11. Yeah, V11 was the cap at that point. It's just been lifted after this next tournament. But yeah, I had the backstage that let me put 10 splashes underneath before I even got to the pre-match phase, and then back to basics, 3 old school psychs, and pain.
Yeah, go ahead. Play reach grasp to this splash. Why don't you discard 3?
Exactly. 5 because it's a chain splash.
Oh, you sick freak.
Jim Cornette took second, piloted by Anson from our local play group. Third was Shawn Michaels, piloted by a gentleman named Dominic in our play group, or third/fourth. And the other one was Eugenius's Iron Sheik in the top cut. So this was his first appearance in Richmond. He did very well for himself. His only losses were me, which I mean, kind of, I get it. The Shawn Michaels deck was very good too. If I had seen that in the top cut, it would have been a coin flip because that was a loss in Swiss. So if I had seen that in top cut, it would have been a coin flip. He also was back to basics too, except he was Shawn Michaels with 15 more cards and all that other stuff. So that was the September event. I gotta get something in a minute, but I'll finish the talking first. The October event was 3 people. It was a normal constructed tournament up to V11, TNF 3, I think, 2 or 3. I can't remember which. The Jim Cornette that I mentioned by Anson finished first this time. Robert Roode was second, and NWO Hollywood was third. So what those 2 tournaments mean is that I have a triple threat title defense as the second coming against both Eric Rowan, who won in August, and Jim Cornette. And then if I win both of those, Natural Disasters will take over as my champion. If not, Natural Disasters get a shot at the champion. In November, we're having a Raw draft for Virtuals 12 and 13. Whenever we rotate sets, we always like to enter in with a Raw draft. If you're not familiar with Raw drafting, you put the starters in front of everybody. The starter packages are made by our tournament organizer, Kevin. He throws together superstar specifics and 4 or 5 sets of cards that will help that particular superstar. So, for example, one of these I was the Revival, and there was like 4 blindside cards times 3 in the starter pack. He also gives you booster packs, which contain virtual cards and proxy reprints of classic staples. So you could get a Revel of the Mind in there. You could get a Great American Bash, that kind of thing. And you get 6 packs, and you bid on the superstar you want, 1 to 6 packs. When you win it, you take that starter out, you put the packs underneath somebody else. Everyone else keeps bidding, and inevitably you have this strategy of I want this superstar versus I want this. I don't care the superstar. I have packs under it, like lots of packs. So I mean, it's strategic for as far as bidding goes. We know who 4 of the superstars are going to be. The top, because we vote on them, and it's by popularity. We had a clear top 4 this time. Running away with the field was Rhea Ripley, 19% of the total vote. Shocking, right? Number 2 was Walter. I think he also hit double digits. Number 3 was Bruno Sammartino, and number 4 was the Tribal Chief. So what we do is we take like the top X number of vote getters, and then for people who are at the bottom, Kevin randomly picks one of those bottom people to be in there as well. So like for each person, he'll put another of the top end starters, and then there'll be one back end. I actually think Jim Cornette was the back end the last draft. Like nobody voted for him apparently. But yeah, that's going to be our draft. If you want any updates, information, you can join the RVA Raw Deal Facebook. I won't read the name out here. It's kind of long, but I'll put it in the chat once this is posted. But yeah, you guys can join a group if you want. George, I know you're already a part of it. So yeah.
What? Do you have a date for the November event yet?
Not yet. I believe we're waiting on the store to give us a clean date. Usually we only take 2 tables there, and it's a massive place that usually hosts like Warhammer type stuff. So we wait and see where their big Warhammer events are, and we usually put somewhere else amongst that. I hope it's not Thanksgiving weekend. That would suck. But, that's just a traffic problem.
Yeah.
I did a Raw draft tournament pre-COVID. I think it was pre-COVID, actually. It might have been actually after, but it was one of Luke Lash's events that George ducked because he heard I was coming.
Was that the starter one down in Gardner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you and I face off in one of those rounds.
Oh, did we? Nice. I was, and I think I was the last person to go, which I think is kind of an advantage in a Raw draft. And people kept putting packs under Mickey James. I was like, all right, I'll be Mickey James with 5 packs or whatever it was, and I ended up winning the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You sure that was pre-COVID?
I don't remember. Now that I think about it,
was post-COVID. I think it was.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I think I was wearing a mask in the picture they took.
I think it was post, because the reason why I didn't go was obviously not knowing what was going on at the time. My wife was pregnant, so we were like, I don't know if it's worth the risk.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Looking back, I would have definitely went, but in the moment, you didn't know what was going on. So
Right. Yeah.
We used to do Raw drafts back in Bay City quite often with starters. Enjoyed those a lot.
It's a fun experience. I've done a few as well. I think I got the Phenom with the urn one time because they left packs under Phenom, which was fun.
Yeah, I think I pulled the People's Eyebrow, but it wasn't Aussie rules, so I couldn't use it.
Aussie rules are so fun.
Does Kevin makes the booster packs, right, with virtual cards? Like he'll print cards, I should say, and make his booster packs that way.
Correct. He also does classic proxies as well as virtual.
We need a Rochester in there, just because I think that's the only card that specifies a Raw draft.
I've yet to pull a Rochester, but I've yet to pull one in a pack. But I'm sure he'll listen to this and be like, "Ooh, that's a good idea."
actually calls out if this is a raw draft. You shuffle 2.
Disgusting.
hmm
Only for someone to play Cage, though. I mean,
And then you
oh,
shuffle
he's
one like
reduced it to
normal.
1.
Then you could, then you could use it.
All right, let's see it happen, Kevin.
Yeah, let's see Tribal Chief with Rochester. That'll be
Okay.
fun for everyone.
Right. Yeah. Or Shawn Michaels with Rochester. Cool.
Wow.
One additional question on that, Brian. So what happens if oh my god, I lost my train of thought. I lost my question. How did I do that? I'll circle back.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yep. Like speaking of Tribal Chief, that was a deck that I don't think we've seen in a big event yet, and we've been expecting to see him show off a few times.
For
We're all
what?
cowards.
For like 2 years now, or whatever it is, we've been expecting Tribal Chief to run rampant, and there has not been one in an Octagon tournament. But we got 3 visionaries. So,
3 Visionaries and a Seth Rollins.
yeah.
We were wrong about the Shield member, but it came to pass.
I thought about Tribal Chief for this tournament, but Andre sounded more fun.
You just figured 60 cards wasn't enough.
Right.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't enough, you could always do connecting with the WWE Universe. Add 8 more cards to your deck.
Only Andre could pack that one. That'd be good.
I remember my question. Sorry if it's okay to circle back.
It's not.
Do you do? It's not. Is that what you
I'm
said?
just kidding. Go ahead.
Is there anything with backstage cards when you do a draft? Like example, let's just say you decide to play a venue. Does everyone get hometown hero, or do you have to draft backstage cards too?
Most backstage cards you have to draft. The exception is shenanigans. Whenever a shenanigans card is out there, everyone gets a free copy. This past draft, because it was the first one we had 10th anniversary in, everyone got a free 10th anniversary.
Nice.
But I mean that was kind of it. Usually the backstage is you can draft them, but usually the ones you get are the shenanigans.
Okay.
And
Just as I'm thinking about, I want a venue. I'm like, well, I better hope I draft hometown hero too. So that's why the question popped in my head.
or draft a high superstar value character.
Yeah, I mean usually especially if you don't get packs, you're scrambling to fill a backlash deck anyway. So if you just have it in there and you get it, like, okay, it's great. But if I'm running, I guess Kyle O'Reilly was the lowest value last time. You know, if you're Kyle O'Reilly, you really can't count on it unless you pull a hometown hero.
Yeah.
And when you draft, Brian, the cards you draft you get to keep, right?
Correct. Every card printed you take home with you. So everyone walks away with a superstar with all of their specifics to that point in time. So like there's no Judgment Day cards in Rhea's set. It'll just cap at V13. And then you get whatever packs you open, you get to keep that. And then at the end, everyone gets one pick from the prize pool. And included in the prize pool is the one superstar that was not drafted. So you could end up walking away with 2 full superstar sets, in theory.
That's fun.
That's pretty cool.
You got to give it to him for the amount of time he must put in to put all this together, organize the sets, pay the money to get them printed. I mean, a lot of time, a lot of dedication on his part.
100% him. Other than the drafts, there's no cost to play. So the drafts probably just recoup his money spent on NPC.
Wow. Yeah. That's
Pretty
awesome.
cool.
What's the overall experience been with that play group down there? Like, are they finding things they really enjoy, things that they're looking forward to, or things are like, maybe I don't want to see that again?
Well, I mean, they don't want to see Sheamus again after about 6 months, but generally speaking, they're not afraid to experiment. like the Jim Cornette deck, if it's the same one that in October that was second place in September, is a British Bulldog based deck, which I don't recall anyone ever trying before. So like there's a few people there that'll experiment and throw some deck combinations together. And then we have a couple new people who are just getting back in. I think one of the Robert Roode players relatively new to the scene. And for the 8-person tournament, the Ricky Steamboat player was brand new. Like I don't think they've ever played Raw Deal before. So I mean, it's a pretty chill mix, I would say.
And where did Eugenius drive from or fly from?
He drove. I have no idea for where he's somewhere close. He's within 2 hours of Richmond.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I didn't
cool.
realize he was that close.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where, but he's closer than I am, and I'm almost 200 miles away. He's definitely closer than that.
I remember when the brawl in the Berg happened in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago. There were 2 people that showed up who weren't. I don't think they were in the Discord. I don't know where they found out about the tournament, but they showed up. One of them had a Yokozuna deck. I don't remember who the other one was. And it's like, where'd they? Who finds out about this game in the wild? Like, I think they did all right. Like, I don't think they made top cut, but they did all right.
Yeah, probably Facebook group.
Could
Yeah,
be. Who knows how many
It's
people are in the
amazing.
Facebook group?
Well, it's always amazing when you get that lapsed player that comes back in for that one-off tournament, and it's like gets that itch again to play. It's always nice.
And
Yeah.
hopefully they stick around, but
Or they,
It's a tough game. It's a tough learning curve, especially if you jump into the deep end.
yeah.
yeah,
Like I get why new scenes start at V1 and then work their way up. Like it makes perfect sense to me.
yeah.
I know one of Luke's tournaments was a classic tournament, and one of his people he used to play with actually brought back a Rey Mysterio deck and went pretty deep into the cut. He ended up, I think he got knocked out. Yeah, ended up having to knock him out in the semifinals, but he went like 3-0 the rest of the day after not playing for years. It was really awesome to see.
Yeah.
Does
Was I
Luke
there?
have anything planned coming up?
You were not there at that one, George. I was trying to remember who all was there. Me, Luke, the 2 laps players, then a couple of guys from the Seacoast came up for it.
I don't think Luke has anything planned. Did Luke just send an invite out for a tournament?
I haven't seen anything. I know that the last one they ended up having to cancel due to like scheduling constraints with everyone involved. But I don't think they've put anything back on the books. Would not be surprised to see at least one more before the end of the year, but
I think right now it's starting to die out. Unfortunately, I think the players, the bulk of the players who are from the Rochester, New Hampshire, Somersworth area, you could tell they're getting frustrated with this part of virtual. I just think they're just not playing enough to get the niche, the understandings of everything. And honestly, it ends up being 6 of us, and then 2 drop, and it's like, what are we doing here? If we're just so, I think you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when Luke finally gets it caught up to V14, that it might attract at least some of the other New Englanders to come in for a tournament when it's full virtual. But right now, with the small group we have, it tends to dwindle just because there's unfortunately some players who are just frustrated and don't. You spend all that time building, driving, wherever you have to go, and then you play in a tournament. It's 2 people drop after the first round, and it's not a tournament anymore. So
Right.
Yeah, if it were,
how many do we have? I was just going to ask George, how many do we have that one post-COVID? It was 18 or so? 16?
Post-COVID?
It was the one you played, Eddie, I believe.
Was it was it the Eddie tournament or the Belt tournament?
It was the Eddie tournament.
Yeah, I think there was 16, 17. No, but was that still classic? That was still classic,
It
right?
was still classic.
That sealed event where I met you, George, there was a ton of people there.
That one was massive. That one got a massive turnout, I think, based on the location. Where was that? I was in Mass. Did that end up
Yeah.
being in Gardner?
It wasn't at Gardner. I don't remember where it was though.
Yeah. Acton. Acton. It was Acton, which had a big place. Yeah. Yeah, that one because it got so it got like Will Alessi, Mark LaRoche, like that play group to come up. They kind of came for sealed loop. Will helped with a lot of this prize support. He was one of the bigger backpackers at the time. It was pre me getting into it. And then Luke had been acquiring sealed decks, and just all of a sudden there's how many 35 sealed decks and 2 or 3 sealed booster packs per person.
Yeah.
It was that was an unbelievable turnout. And my brother ended up making the finals with a JBL starter, which was great.
I think he beat me in the semis.
Yeah. I mean, the real winner should have been Will, who was part of the host, but he I think we've talked about this, but he got Dude Love, but then he opened up a God pack, so he got Richazo, but then he also got Essay in another pack, a non-foil Essay. So it was Dude Love with Richazo and Essay, and he ended up dropping because he knew it just was not fair. So and allowed the tournament to go on with other people in, so which is very noble of him.
Yeah,
But,
if Luke does a full virtual tournament, I'd probably make the drive for that.
I feel like if he wants the turnouts, he's probably going to get to the point where he's going to make the jump. I mean, again, with the people who are willing to come and would drive that distance, there's I think the interest is starting to fade. So I think a full virtual, full set tournament is a way to get people to come up. I mean, I can't speak for it, but if it has enough people, I could see maybe Glove, RGK, Jay-Z coming from New York. I mean, it's only a 4-hour drive. I could see them making it.
Crasher from Jersey as well, I bet would make the trip.
Yeah, so I think you could attract more people.
Bob's in Connecticut, so he'd probably make the drive.
Yeah, so definitely something to talk to him about and seeing if there's a venue maybe in Mass just to make it a little bit closer for people coming from the South. Not that New Hampshire's that much further, but even if it's 45 minutes or an hour, that can make a difference.
There's a game shop near me that does like Magic tournaments, and I know the owner, and I've been meaning to ask him like if he would ever host a Raw Deal tournament on a random Saturday or something like that, but it always slips my mind that I don't see him enough to be reminded.
Well, Glove manages a store now,
Right.
and he's talked about it. He said if he can get the turnout, he would very much host a tournament. So, but just like him saying he'd be here at 9, getting him to get started on that it's like pulling teeth.
Where's his store?
I just know it's called Toy Wiz. It's in New York. I just don't know where in New York.
Okay.
I want to say Long Island, but I could be wrong.
I think you're right.
I think you're right on that. That's like Southern Shore, Long Island, or something.
Oh, I thought it was near where he grew up, which I didn't think he grew up on Long Island. Yep, Nanuet, New York. Don't know where that is.
I don't either.
Yeah, I'm like 3 hours from
Is
everyone.
interesting. 59. Where is that? That is just over the New York, New Jersey state border.
Yep. I think they grew up in New City, New York. So I think that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So yeah, it's for me in the old location, it was Garden State Parkway to 287, and he's right off of that.
Okay.
There's a nice hotel there too, just in case some of us are traveling. Apparently there's a Hampton Inn across the street.
Yeah, it's under 4 hours for me, which which I figured, which is very manageable.
I drove 6 to get to the Brawl in the Berg. That was a miserable drive, but I did it.
Well, anything's miserable driving through Pennsylvania.
God, yeah,
Bob was
3
smart.
hours.
Moving.
3 hours is about the limit of my patience with the road. I don't think, like, if they had a tournament in DC, I don't think I'd make it. That extra hour and a half's a rough one. I think I'd take a train.
3 hours. 3 hours is kind of my number too. My in-laws house in Vermont is 3.5, but right around the 3 hour marks when my lower back starts to get tight and I'm like doing this and doing this, and it's it's right around that 3 hour mark.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna make it to the New York event. It's only an 11-hour drive.
That's
It
it.
started now.
Random non-Rodule related, but Rodule community related. Joe, you got to meet Anthony, huh?
I did for 15 minutes at an electric charging place.
So how far did you have to drive to go meet him?
That was about a 20-minute drive. He came up to, he was up in Spring Lake, which is about 20 minutes west of me, for a bachelor party, and we were trying to find a time to get over there, but Saturdays are hard with soccer and sports and everything. So Sunday morning, I was like, whenever you leave, just let me know, and I'll meet you somewhere, and we can just, say hi and hang out for a little bit, So
What's the most interesting thing about in-person Anthony? Let it out now. Let the whole world know.
he's shorter than I thought.
Really?
Yeah. Thought he was gonna be taller.
How does legs look?
I mean, they're tiny, and he's wearing shorts, so I figure it's just cold, like he's got shrinkage going on.
He wears small shorts to make his legs look big. That's
He
what it
does,
is, right?
yeah.
Yeah. How tall are you, Joe?
I'm 5'7",
Okay.
so I'm
So
not.
I feel like he said he's about 6 feet. So is he lying about his height?
He might be just 6 feet, but I didn't think he was. I thought he was gonna be taller, bigger,
Yeah.
But no, not as big as I'd thought.
I'm gonna make sure he hears this. I'm gonna cut this in the video. I'm gonna send it to him.
So even
Doing extra pumps at the gym.
his
New
height,
segment, Joe out of context.
even his height is mid.
Oh,
Well, then what does that make me? Because he still towers over me.
We're not talking about you.
Joe, I would not have put you at 5'7". I would have thought you were taller. I mean, I'm 5'8". I have nothing to talk about, but
No, I'm not.
in pictures, I would have never thought you were 5'7".
No, I put short people around me so I look bigger. Like they do the opposite of the Hobbit thing from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Jake is tall. Jake's a lot taller than I expected. I didn't expect Jake to be as tall as when I saw him in person. I'm like, oh, hi, Jake.
oh hi, George.
I'm the one playing Andre the Giant, though. So,
but I'm glad you guys were able to meet up. I did tell him if you go all that way and you don't meet up with him, it's such a waste. So I'm glad you guys were able to make it work. It's always good to meet people in person.
Well, it was funny because they had a place in Spring Lake, and he kept posting pictures from like these different restaurants and stuff, and I'm like, that's like 2 minutes from my house. Why are they? They spent the whole night in Grand Rapids, but their house was 30 minutes away. Like, why didn't they just get a place in Grand Rapids? He's like, he says, don't ask me. I didn't schedule this.
That's great. Yeah, I
it's-
mean, it'd be awesome if we can make something work in a middle point where everyone can go to a tournament. I know, well, maybe not everyone, but a majority. Maybe New York's the closest thing we're gonna get, but maybe someday.
Yeah, Anthony's only like 2.5 hours from me anyway, so it's not like that far of a trip.
and the good thing about in-person tournaments in New York is that you probably won't see Oder, Jagger, or Lulu.
until they walk in en masse. It'll look like it'll look like the Hangover or something. Just
They're
the
going to come in
glass
looking like
shatters and Jagger walks
come
in.
in looking like the Reservoir Dogs on suits.
But instead,
The downside to that is Jay-Z will be there.
yeah, I was gonna
Oh, God.
say. But
Lay it
aside
out
from
there.
that, we'll get Jay-Z, we'll get Crasher shuffling, and
Gosh.
hope earthquake shuffling.
And then I'll probably show up with like Big Freaking Machine or something
and Robbie yelling about how Virtual's broken.
while he's winning.
While he's winning.
Did you even play test this?
I shouldn't be this far ahead. What is wrong?
I still remember that. Cracking me up, throwing a fit, and I'm like, but he's winning.
The best part is when him, Glove, and Jay-Z play each other. It's more Robbie, but Robbie is yelling at them, and they've known each other since they were 5, so it's like they might as well be brothers at this point. But he is yelling at them. Are you serious? But then he wins the game, and he's like, well, yeah, I knew I was going to win the whole time. And I'm like, what are you yelling about?
I remember them talking about one of their play sessions, and Robbie was playing Jay-Z, and he was playing his Sheamus deck, and he played a pump kick, but of course Zenda drew a douchebag first turn and douchebagged it, so Robbie like picked his deck up and threw it at Zenda, and then proceeded to win the game.
Because you can't douchebag pump kick. Oh, maybe you can from hand. It's from backstage. Yeah.
Nope. They can't ignore the backstage. The Sheamus ability. Can't douchebag it from hand.
If he played it from hand, then
I think he played it from hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's always a thing. Like
Best is whenever you hear like they're having an in-person session and all of a sudden get the message the next day. Yep, I'm on hiatus. Like, oh, it went that well, huh?
All right,
Welcome
who
to
hurt
plenty of
you?
those.
Yeah. I mean, Robbie hasn't come back from his last hiatus yet, so.
Yeah, he's holding strong on this one. But yeah, I mean, I quit Raw Deal 3 times a day. I don't know. It's not a big deal.
Anytime you get hit with a foreign object, George quits.
Listen, it's a tough time. It was a rough time.
I don't know what you hated more at the beginning. Foreign object ECW stuff or the discard on the clotheslines from what's his face? The hacksaw.
Duggan.
Again, on that one, my only gripe is that it was on Superstar Specifics. I felt like it should not have been on Specifics.
Well, you were also Matt Hardy, who has like so many pain reversals.
Listen, I mean, what else does he have?
No hand.
But I mean, it was Ultimate Survivor, but yeah, and it makes sense, and I understand. Again, I think we've talked about this. For me, when I came back, everything was out, right, in Classic. So I never really, and again, I stopped early. I played only Premier to Backlash, and then I came back after, 15, 16 years later. So everything was out. So I didn't go through the learning curve, the growing pains when new sets come out, changing your meta, right? Like so when we jump to virtual, we go to V1 and you go from a very controlled gaming environment to I'm just going to slam foreign objects with no repercussions whatsoever unless you want to pack Frankie in every deck. And it was, just a complete change in the game. Again, you try different things, and then you see like leader of the population who is one of the best players in the classic game, and it's like I can't even get a move off because they're just throwing two foreign objects, then kitchen sinking me to death, and I lose first blood. Not just Anthony, there were multiple people who were doing it. Even Robbie did it with Spike Dudley. He played one game. I was in person visiting him in New York when I played it, and he said, "This is the most unfun deck I've ever built," and he took it apart the same hour that he built it. So it was getting adjusted to meta changing again, something I wasn't doing before. So it was an adjustment. Um, and now I'm falling right into the metas. I'm loving heat, and I'm telling you, play the cards that counter heat. I don't care. I'm gonna continue to play it, and I'm gonna figure out who else can be heat. And if you want to oversell Mr. Pay-Per-View's Maneuver of Doom for 16 damage, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I got a George rant on in my messenger app. It's been a while.
You know, the only one is we talked about it already. Not to go into it again. It was Jay-Z, of course. Who else is it going to be? Because he only built stuff to make my life miserable. But it was British Bulldog with the Cornet support and just being able to continuously recur an unresponsive card, and I just thought it seemed like it was too much unresponsiveness. But
Yeah, that might have been the last. But even that wasn't. You weren't so.
well, I've learned that my battles don't go anywhere anymore, right? I'm like, I'm either gonna say it, he's either gonna agree with me, or he's gonna think I'm overreacting, and either way, nothing's gonna change. So it doesn't matter.
Once in a while, something changes.
Yes, I built Iron Sheik, and rumor has it he's changing. So I built Sheik, and he's changing. Meanwhile, Jinder's still running rampant. Let's see what happens with Jinder.
There are plans in place.
Just
Concepts of a plan.
Concepts of a plan.
what's the? Oh yeah, the debate. Good job. I like it. Well timed.
If that doesn't explain the dev team, then I don't know what does.
Hopefully before Worlds.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Are we are we going to get anything before the end of the year?
I hope so. There's been a lot of real life interference recently with dev team members, so that kind of slows things down. But everything that we have, we're in a good spot for revisions and the next virtual set. So,
Oh well.
One of my favorite.
I don't know. I'm not sure if we'll have a holiday set this year, just based on the timing and where we are now. But time will tell.
Yeah, because typically the last few years, the V sets come out around August time frame, and then you had your Dead Now Forevers around the end of your Christmas time frame, and revisions around the same time. But obviously, I mean, it's a free game that people volunteer to put time in, so whenever it comes out, it comes out. But I do like, from my experience playing card games, I always enjoyed the meta shifts, when new cards came out, and trying to figure out, like, yeah, now chain got tuned down. Something's, let's figure out a different way to do this. Or now heat's really good. Now we got to build for heat. But what's good against stuff that builds against heat?
When hell freezes over. Pretty much made it a relevant card again.
It's a good card against heat. It's a good card against a lot of things in virtual. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff that can play from ringside. So.
You know what I haven't seen yet, though, that I'm very surprised? I thought I would see more chained heats. But people seem to be picking when hell freezes over chained heat.
I had chained heat in my Luke Harper against Jinder. It kind of helped.
And you had heat barrier too, didn't you?
Yes, turn one heat barrier. Dude had no cards in hand. He still won.
Jake, you been playing anything recently? Any decks? Any superstars you've been enjoying?
I've been toying around with Muhammad Hassan lately, and it's a different concept with it. Have yet to actually win a game, but it's got legs to it. Playing Muhammad Hassan textbook.
Oh yeah, you sent me that list. We went over it a little bit.
Yeah. Other than that, I built a Summer Ray deck. I still argue that everyone does Precision better than Summer Ray.
Even though she's built for precision.
She's built for precision. Her support, I don't feel is, and I think that's where it comes down to. But
Last time
it's not.
I played Summer Ray in League 2 cycles ago, and I obliterated Mike Skizzo's Ezekiel Jackson because he reversed my flawless quick snap, which it was like a total of like 8 discard or something like that, based on all of her support. I was like, okay. And then he couldn't stop anything else after that because he had no hand.
Zeke's whole thing is he's got an 11 card hand. Let's discard 8 of them.
Other than that, I mean, just putting together another version of Heath Slater to just toy around with because I find him to be one of the most fun action-based superstars out there. And Daniel Bryan's been high on my list lately too.
I've always liked Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. I've been trying to decide what deck to build next. I haven't built one in a while.
Should get the wheel.
I'll have to bring out my wheel. Spin it.
Joe went on a tear with tier 5 wheel, and those decks were awesome. I know I saw Odor's recently, but Joe built the core before Odor built it. They're awesome.
That core deck hasn't lost.
Yeah. And then wasn't Bella Twins on that wheel? Is that how you
No.
ended up?
Bella Twins was wheel from the tournament.
Okay.
That was, yeah, that beat Anthony, I think.
So that you did a tier 5 wheel for a little while, which was fun. And then then I played Debu's Mystery Wrestler, which Mystery Wrestler is tier 5, and I'm like, okay. It's one of those decks where I'm like, okay, he's making it a game, but there's no way I'm winning it, and I can just tell by like turn 2 I'm not winning this. But that's more the pilot than the superstar. But Evan, I've noticed you've done a lot of classic superstars lately for structured tournaments.
Yeah, I guess so. And I don't think it's intentional. Big Freaking Machine was just a deck I was familiar with for Worlds, and I was just going back and forth between like 15 people. I just said, forget it. I know this deck, and I'm either going to win in 3 turns or lose in 3 turns. So I don't think any of my games lasted longer than 30 minutes. And then Andre was just a last minute, like, I won an Octagon. I just looked at superstar specific backstage cards just to remind myself of them. And Andre has like, I think the second or third one or something like that. I was like, this could be good as in a tournament where no one knows who you are until the day of. Because last time I played Andre, I said right before you got on, George, last time I played Andre was in the wheel, so my opponent could kind of game plan for Andre.
Yeah.
But if you don't game plan for him, he's tough, as Joe can tell you.
Yeah, it's a good deck.
Yeah. Very tough.
The thing with Andre is you should have a couple different like game plan. You need like 6 game plans in Andre, because if you have to bet, something's not going to work, because without having a backlash, or like a functional backlash, your opponent, if your opponent's built in a way that you can't stop it, you're just kind of screwed. like my game against Dave, I don't want to say lucky, but I had good overturn luck against him. A lot of my moves kind of went all the way through, and my deck kind of counteracted a lot of what his deck does enough to squeak by.
Yeah, in our game, the one thing that really hurt me towards the end was your mid-match chokehold reversal, the non-maneuver reversal.
Yeah, because you were playing around that.
I had to play around it.
Actually, the last turn of my game against Dave, I played that as a maneuver. I think he had 13 cards left, and the maneuver does 12 damage, and it's a triple multi that ignores completely.
Hmm.
And went all the way through. He had one card left. And then I played a blindside maneuver from my ringside to pin him. Because I knew he wasn't gonna play an act. He wasn't gonna walk into that chokehold either. So I said I might as well use it.
Being on the dev team, is there ever a time that you are a little surprised to see some of the stars being played lately, like ones that catch you off guard that people are piloting casually, or
Not so much casually. I was a little surprised to see like David Otunga in a tournament. But like the casual people, I know people challenge themselves to build tier 5 or whatever a lot. Sometimes it's fun to see if a quote unquote bad superstar goes on a win streak. That's always fun. Just see. I wonder what they're doing with this person. But we do look at those things and see who's getting played and who's losing, and what can we do to help them.
Then you get Samoa Joe. Brian, you're Samoa Joe, right?
Yep.
Who hurt you?
Well, remember he sat out Worlds, so
The wheel hurt me. I had 14 people on a wheel, and Samoa Joe came up.
The
Although,
un-Samoan Joe gave him Samoa Joe.
very true. He's the one who spun the wheel.
the wheel chose violence.
Yeah.
It-
It's
thought
not
it
even it wasn't even the worst choice on there either, which is the frightening thing.
Nope, sure wasn't.
I was going back and forth between Eric Rowan is someone I've wanted to use in a tournament, but I can never bring myself to him for some reason. And Fandango's another one. And then I just got this Andre idea in my head. I go, is Andre still good? Let's find out. Seems like he is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Andre, when not like to what you said, when people aren't expecting him, he's dangerous.
Yeah.
And in my world's deck, Robbie I knew he was on the fence about joining, but I knew he was really liking the Andre that he built. And for that sheer fact, I packed best laid plans just in case.
Right.
I was like, I'm putting best laid plans in this deck just in case.
That's one of the other things that led me towards Andre is that in Worlds, if you weren't NXT, there wasn't a lot of things to prevent hand reduction that I noticed.
Yeah.
So I said, you can't really get around.
plans once. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. My big freaking machine had best laid plans in it as well, and never got played.
Yeah,
because I didn't run into a lot of hand reduction.
yeah.
My last two games have been hand reduction to start the game, which have killed me.
None of my opponents have started with 0 cards in their hand because they've had other draw things during the pre-match or stuff like that. Like round 1 was Arn Anderson, who has WCW plus once a horseman, always a horseman. So he had like more cards in his hand than he would have had he not had a 0 hand.
Yeah, see, against you, I was able to play the textbook multi that lets me draw. But then when I played role model. She just ding dong helloed it, and I didn't draw anything. So I was like, oh, still no cards in hand.
My game against Dave, his deck has a lot of discard in it, and I think I had like 9 cards. I think was my opening hand, and then by the third turn, I don't think we had a combined over 5 cards between the two hands. His hand was low, and my hand was low the entire game. And when you're Andre without a hand, you can't use your ability. So he had one turn where he played like 7 cards, including like 3 maneuvers all the way through. And I just had to sit there and say, well, I hope this doesn't kill me this turn.
What do we say? Is that a wrap tonight?
Yeah, unless anyone's got anything else they want to talk about.
I'm having fun with this this tournament.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it'll be interesting to see. My game's tomorrow, so we'll see how I feel about it then. ask me in about 19 hours or so. But jeez,
Are you the last game or
I
let me-
I haven't been keeping track between
I-
the bye and the fact that my opponent couldn't play for the first week is kind of like I'm so out of it at this point.
I think
Who's-
the
it's
bowl
probably
game.
Crasher. Is it Crasher? It's always Crasher.
Crasher's the bye,
So
so
it's
Not
not
bowl
him this time.
bowl
No wonder
versus
why his game
someone.
hasn't been played yet.
Is it bowl versus Matrix? Is that who?
Bull versus Debu is
Yeah.
yet to be played.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's probably going to be this weekend because Debu. I don't think Debu can play during the week.
Yeah, it's a tough.
Not at times where we can play.
Yeah, he's got a tough time zone.
Well, he works a full-time job. He's in China, and there's definitely some VPN stuff going on for him to get in and play. I think we'll just leave it at that. But so yeah, that sounds like it'll be after the weekend then.
Yeah.
I appreciate the time.
Yeah, just
Way
don't
past my
lose
bedtime.
Brian, so we're not paired against each other because I don't want to play Smojo.
It's the same basic deck concept all the way around. Oh my god.
It pretty much is.
Who's for? It's going to be like who's behind. That's going to be the winner.
Yeah, because their stuff's protected. That's the problem with the Bella twins is I can't. My maneuvers are hard to reverse, so I get ahead, and then nothing's protected by any. My non-multis aren't protected anymore. So
I don't know if anyone said this at the beginning, but maybe a good going out thing. But Jake, did you, after reviewing all the decks, did you come out? Did you look at anything and kind of pick a favorite?
Wouldn't say I picked a favorite. Debu, I think, is the most surprising. I told Brian like I love his deck, and I'm glad I'm not playing it. Joe's Bella's deck is, even though he's 1 and 2, it's still a really good, fun deck. Like, I don't know if there's truly a favorite I have outside of seeing Jinder go out and do Jinder things.
Good to hear.
Didn't Jinder play Batman recently? I think that was one of the last round, and I don't think Batman won that. So
No, Jinder played Bret Hart last round. He beat him.
that's right.
I don't think he's played. I don't think he played Priceless.
no, but he could. I think they're both 3-0. So
Yeah.
Now Batman's 2 and 1. I actually just looked it up here.
okay. I don't have my spreadsheet built for this event.
I do like the spreadsheet you did build.
That was awesome.
Because Jagger kept asking me to build it, so I built one for him.
They were actually round one, Jagger and Batman, and
Okay,
Batman couldn't pull it off with that ability.
got it.
I have to say, Odor's Bret Hart deck is one that threw me for a loop.
Interesting.
I
Well.
don't want to give it out, obviously, if you've not played it or seen it, but I would say it's probably a non-conventional Bret Hart deck, which scares me the most for y'all. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's
that's the
odor.
worst part. When they build something that is unconventional, I don't know, scares the daylights out of me. Again, David Otunga. What the hell is he doing with David Otunga? What is David doing? I don't even know if I want to know. Just want to go in there and take it.
All you know is that he is winning.
That's fair.
I, for one, have said that David Otunga is a lot better than people think he is. I think.
Absolutely.
I
After
don't-
seeing the interaction between his ability in NXT to WWE, I 100% agree.
Yeah, I don't know what Debu's deck does. I built him a while ago. I built him with backed by Vicky because he can get you cannot respond to his face stretch basically for free. So that's kind of sets you up with fortitude for the rest of the game. This was a while ago though, so it might not work as good now.
Yeah, I mean it's not it's not that I don't think Otunga's good by any means. I think everybody reality is good, especially if people aren't expecting it and it's even more of a surprise. Then I think they're even better. But you know, I don't know. Think of Bobby Fish, and you think of Adam Cole, and you think of those guys. I don't really put. I'm not thinking of David Otunga when I'm thinking who's Dave we're going to beat me with this week.
Well, he's knocked me out of more tournaments than anyone else. So followed by
It goes to show. It goes to show it's a lot about the person piloting it than the superstar itself anymore.
100%.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though, I think I think over the last couple of years we've made it less about the pilot we've made it less about the superstar. Like we've tried to balance out superstars to be
Yeah.
competitive. So it really becomes about the pilot or the player or the build
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to, I'm Sheamus, so I'm gonna win. Not necessarily now.
I mean, there is some rock, paper, scissors type stuff still in Raw Deal where you build it a certain way and you come against something and you just get run over because that's the way most card games work. But
And then there's luck involved, Sometimes your 8 damage maneuver gets reversed on one, sometimes it goes all the way through,
and you get no stun. I mean, sometimes.
Sometimes it's reversed on 7.
Well, guys, I think we can call it here for tonight. We had a nice little chat in. I want to thank everyone for showing up on time, except George, who was late.
Sorry.
At least he
Sorry.
showed, unlike Cantor.
Cantor, still waiting for him to show up. Maybe I'll leave the call going after we all drop and see if he ever pops in. Jake, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on. And good luck in the near months, right? When's the baby due? March?
March 14th is the anticipated due date right now.
Godspeed.
Congratulations.
Still got some time.
Okay. I was about to say, y'all lucky I showed up tonight because it's also my 8-year wedding anniversary too.
Oh,
If she wasn't pregnant in bed, y'all been SOL.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank
happy
you.
anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. All right.
All right,
All
guys.
right, gentlemen, it's been real.
Have a
Yes,
good night.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Have a good one.